Part 17. After guarding the abyss for a billion years, when he returned, his family became a criminal clan. Author, Top 47. Chapter 162. Menjan said yes and sat next to Bayuixi. Bayuixi whispered to Menjan, I heard that my mother got up early this morning and specially cooked for you. All the food on this table was given to you by my mother made it. Upon hearing this, Menjan looked at his mother-in-law and said immediately, Thank you, mother. Nangongqing looked at Menjan with a smile and said, Didn't your father just say that there are no need for so many rules? Since you called me mother, how can you thank your son for cooking a meal for him? After Menjan heard Nangongqing's words, he laughed and started eating, while Bayuixi kept picking up vegetables for him. Menjan looked at it, well, they are all kinds of great tonics. There are millions of fire lotuses, thousands of years of red sun grass, and even monster whips. Originally, Menjan didn't feel anything while eating, but Bayuixi told him secretly. This was a snow-patterned tiger with a 9 tribulation realm cultivation level. If Nangongqing hadn't been afraid that his body wouldn't be able to withstand this kind of tonic, she would have even wanted to make a 10,000 gods realm monster whip for Menjan. At this moment, Butler Bai came in and reported to Bai Chennai, Master, people from the Nangong family came to visit. They said they heard that the young lady and her uncle were getting married, and came here to congratulate them. Bai Chennai snorted coldly at this time and said, Humph, the Nangong family. They are really well informed. After saying that, he looked at Nangongqing next to him, but Nangongqing didn't care about Bai Chennai's eyes, still eating his meal, and said calmly, Master, you don't have to look at me, my daughter is getting married and the master forgot to invite my family, so I can just invite my own family. After hearing this, Bai Chennai shook his head helplessly. Bayuixi didn't say anything and directly took Menjan, who had not finished eating, to the back hall. Menjan was stunned when he heard Nangongqing's words just now. Is this Nangong family Nangongxian's family? Is it such a coincidence? My old mother-in-law is from the Nangong family. And she killed Nangongxian, who was not related to her. Bayuixi took Menjan back to the house and saw Menjan's expression changing constantly. She thought that his parents' attitude had affected him just now. Then he comforted him, Sir, don't worry too much. My parents are like this, and my father hated the Nangong family because of certain things back then. After saying this, Bayuixi was also nervous, and it seemed that she had recalled something. But what Menjan was thinking about and what Bayuixi was worried about were completely different things. However, when Menjan saw Bayuixi's appearance, he asked, in that case, why did your father marry your mother? And gave birth to you? Hearing Menjan's question after speaking, Bayuixi sighed and said, this all happened after my parents had me. It also has something to do with me. Back then, I was so competitive that I killed the first direct descendants of the Gu family, and as a result, their elders were killed. The ancestors were chasing me. At that time, my father was only a cultivation level of 3,000 feet in the 10,000 god realm, while his ancestor of the Gu family was a cultivation level of 4,000 feet. In order to keep me safe, he went to Nangong realm to send me to Nangong realm. I want to ask them to protect my mother. My mother is also a member of the Nangong family, and she is soft-spoken. Although she goes around, the Nangong family refuses to agree and is only willing to protect my mother. But a manager of the Nangong family passed by and discovered that I have extraordinary talents. He agreed to the matter, but he asked me to change my surname to Nangong. How could my father agree after hearing this, but he had no choice but to finally agree with my mother's persuasion. After guarding the abyss for a billion years, when he returned, his family became a criminal clan. Author, Top 47. Chapter 163. Later, I heard that my father killed the ancestor of the ancient clan, and when he came back, he was already at the level of 4,000 feet in the 10,000 god realm. He wanted to take me back, but it was a pity that the Nangong family was not willing to agree. As a result, my father made a big fuss in the Nangong world, and finally, with the help of my aunt, he took me out of the Nangong family secretly. However, my mother was implicated because of this incident and was regarded as a shame by the Nangong family. My aunt saw that my mother was really miserable in the Nangong family, so she secretly sent my mother back. However, after that incident, my father began to hate the Nangong family, and because my mother persuaded my father to let me change my surname, the relationship also began to break down. No matter how I tried to bring them together, it had no effect. And the one my mother notified this time was probably my aunt. If there was anyone else in the Nangong family that my mother could care about, I'm afraid this was the only one. After listening to Meng Zhan's words, I couldn't help but feel relieved. This is really not a family that refuses to enter the same house. I have a grudge against the Nangong family, and my father-in-law also has a grudge against the Nangong family. Then Meng Zhan asked you, "Son, do you know that there is a person named Nangong Xian in the Nangong family?" After hearing what Meng Zhan said, Bai Yuexi lowered her head and thought for a while and said, "It's been such a long time and I really can't remember it." "What's the matter, do you know that person?" "How about I ask your aunt for you later?" Meng Zhan hurriedly said, "No, don't ask, just pretend I didn't say it." Immediately I thought to myself that I don't know if the Nangong family already knows about my killing of Nangong Xian. If I appear in front of yours aunt later, there shouldn't be any problems, right? But then I wasn't too worried, even if that aunt wants to arrest me, she has to ask my father-in-law if he agrees. This is Kangyu realm, not your Nangong realm. And now 3 of the 5 major city lords in Kangyu realm are from my side, so I'm afraid even if you Nangong family members are here, and you can't do anything to me. Then I stopped thinking about it and started flirting with Bai Yuexi in the room. Outside, Bai Chenai and Nangong Qing had already arrived in the living room and saw the woman with a similar face to Nangong Qing is Nangong Qing's sister Nangong Yu. When Nangong Qing saw her sister, she walked over happily, took Nangong Yu's hand and said, "Why are you here now? Didn't I inform you a long time ago?" Nangong Yu was also very happy to see her sister whom she hadn't seen for a long time. Then she glanced at her so-called brother-in-law and found that he turned his head away with an unhappy face. Seeing this, Nangong Yu snorted and turned to face Nangong Qing said, "Don't say anything, there was a big incident in Nangong's family recently, and I had to escape and rush here." Hearing what his sister said, he was also puzzled. Although he was no longer in the Nangong family, he still had some news. Why didn't he know what happened to the Nangong family? Then he asked what happened to the Nangong family. "Hey, don't mention it, it was Nangong Xian, a direct disciple of the Nangong family, who heard that he went to some divine realm to snatch rare treasures, and was killed as a result. Now the ancestor is furious and uses the mysterious light magic to pass the image to everyone in Nangong realm, ordering us to find this person within 10 years. As a result, we people are busy looking for people. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment." After guarding the abyss for 1 billion years, when he returned, his family became a criminal clan. Author, Top 47. Chapter 164. After hearing this, Nangong Qing looked surprised and said, "Someone dares to kill the Nangong family? Don't you know the Nangong family's mysterious light magic power? Who knows, among all the worlds, there are always some who are not afraid of death, but strangely enough, Nangong Xian is also considered a strong man among the younger generation, and he also has the 5-level divine weapon suppressing the dragon given by his ancestor. Shen, and the Wanja brush were actually killed. I'm afraid this matter is not that simple." At this time, Bai Chennai was extremely shocked after hearing Nangong Yu's words. Could it be that Nangong Xian was killed by Zhan Er? Thinking of what Meng Zhan said last night, he was also in the Xinwu heavenly realm, snatching rare treasures. And he said that he escaped with the Wanja pen in the end. If he guessed correctly, the person who killed Nangong Xuan must have been defeated. With his strength, let alone Nangong Xuan's 5-level magic weapon. I am afraid that even with the 9-level magic weapon, I may not be able to win. At this time, I heard Nangong Yu say, "Sister, is you already married? That martial arts contest, how about it? What kind of young talent did you recruit? Come and show me quickly. I haven't seen that girl Yu for a long time, and I don't know if she still remembers me." Nangong Qing said with a smile, "How could you not remember? That girl would always say that when she was at Nangong's house, you were the only one who played with her and you were the best to her." "Huh, that girl won't come to see me. Let's see how I deal with her later." After hearing Nangong Yu's words, Nangong Qing said with a smile, "I'm afraid that won't work. You is now at the level of 2,000 feet in the realm of the gods, and you are only 1,000 feet away." Nangong Yu was shocked when she heard what her sister said. Looking at her, how could it be possible? That girl was the master of the 4 tribulations back then, and now she has reached 2,000 feet of the 10,000 gods realm. Her talent is astonishing. Seeing Nangong Yu's shock, Nangong Qing suddenly felt proud, and then said, "Okay, wait, I'll call them out for you." As he said this, he headed to the back room, but at this moment Bai Chennai suddenly said, "Don't go. Anyway, your sister has nothing to do, so tell her to leave quickly." After hearing Bai Chennai's words, Nangong paused and looked at Bai Chennai, thinking in his heart, although Bai Chennai hates the people of the Nangong family, he is still somewhat tolerant of Nangong Yu. How could he say such a thing now? "Come." Then he said, "What? My sister just wants to take a look at you and her husband." Bai Chennai didn't bother to explain the reason and said directly, "I am the master of Baicheng Mansion, and what I say is an order." Then he looked at Nangong Yu and said, "You Nangong family members are not welcome here. Please leave. Don't make any mistakes, Nangong." Yu raised her eyebrows, looked at Bai Chennai and said, "Bai Lengzi, what do you mean? If I hadn't secretly released you from Nangong realm back then, you would have already entered the Lois." When Bai Chennai heard that Nangong Yu called him Bai Lengzi, his anger suddenly rose. This was the nickname Nangong Yu gave him when he made a big fuss in Nangong world. He said that he was just like a stupid young man, so he might as well not call him Bai Shura, just call him Bai Lengzi. "Shut up, you still dare to mention this to me? If I hadn't seen you letting my father and daughter out, I would have killed you when you took your first step into the Kangyu realm today." After guarding the abyss for 1,000,000,000 years, when he returned, his family became a criminal clan. Author, Top 47. Chapter 165. When Nangong Yu heard this, her anger rose in her heart, and she immediately shouted, "Okay, come and kill me. I'll be waiting for you, Aunt." City Lord Bai is so majestic now, and he knows how to repay kindness with hatred. Bai Chennai used his skill to guide Gongai said angrily, You still have the nerve to say, don't think I don't know. It was you who introduced Yu to the manager back then, and it was you who suggested that Yu change her surname, and you also instigated your sister to persuade me. Have you forgotten all the things you have done?" Nangong Qing's body was shocked after hearing this, and her eyes suddenly filled with tears. She gently covered her mouth with her hand, looked at Nangong Yu, and said in a trembling voice, "Sister, is what he said true?" Nangong Yu was also shocked after hearing Bai Chennai's words. He didn't know how Bai Chennai knew these things. When he saw his sister looking at him, he suddenly panicked and said with difficulty, "That's right." Hearing Nangong Yu's personal admission, Nangong Qing suddenly felt like a bolt from the blue. If she was the only one who still had attachment to the Nangong family, This sister would be the only one. But why? Why do such a thing? So she subconsciously asked why. Nangong Yu said with a self-deprecating smile, why? It wasn't because of you. I was also a proud man back then. Now because of you, I have become a marginalized figure in the Nangong family. Why? I tell you, why are you? Then he turned to look at Bai Chennai, with an extremely angry and aggrieved expression. If you hadn't come to Nangong's house with you in your arms and begged, I would have felt sorry for you and went to beg the ancestor in person, but the ancestor, she refused to agree at all, so I had no choice but to confide your talent to the ancestor and ask him to agree. Later, after the ancestor found out about yours amazing talent, he said that Bai Yuexi was not from the Nangong family, so I could only let my sister convince me. Let your change her surname, otherwise do you really think anyone will discover yours talent? Do you really think the Nangong family will take in their mother and daughter? At the end of her words, Nangong Yu had turned into a roar, her voice mixed with grievances and tears. Bai Chennai and his wife were silent after hearing this. They both knew that no matter who they recognized, it was completely forced by formality. When Nangong Ching saw her sister's aggrieved look, she sighed in her heart. Bai Chennai snorted, then sat down and sent a message to Nangong Ching. The person Nangong Yu mentioned just now is Meng Zhan. As for what to do, it's up to you. Hearing Bai Chennai's message, Nangong Ching couldn't help but be stunned. How could this matter be related to her son-in-law? But this is not the time to ask. Nangong Ching lowered her head, her eyebrows furrowed slightly, her eyes swayed, and then she walked up to Nangong Yu. Seeing that she was still looking at Bai Chennai, she took her hand and said, I know you are not to blame for this matter. It was also forced by the situation at that time, but you also know your brother-in-law's temper. After saying that, he glanced at Bai Chennai and continued to say to his sister, Sister, you have traveled a long distance, let me take you to rest first. You have made such a fuss when you first came, and I feel sad in my heart. It's very uncomfortable. After hearing her sister's words, Nangong Yu shook her head and said, Forget it, I'd better go. He doesn't want to see me anyway, so there's no need for me to cause trouble here. After that, he took it out. A brocade box was handed to Nangong Ching and said, Sister, this is my wedding gift to you. I won't give it to her myself. Please give it to her for me. After guarding the abyss for 1 billion years, when he returned, his family became a criminal clan. Author, Top 47. Chapter 166. Nangong Ching looked at the brocade box in her sister's hand and didn't know what to do. Just now Bai Chennai told herself that Meng Zhan was a wanted criminal of the Nangong family, and it would be bad if Nangong Yu met him. But she was really reluctant to let her sister go just like that. After what happened just now, everyone was not in a good mood. I am afraid that after this time, the only sister will also be estranged from her. Thinking of this, he sighed and said, Okay, then you should be careful on the road. Also, you can send me the image of the wanted criminal in Nangong's family, and I can help you find it. Hearing that, Nangong, after Ching's words, Nangong Yu nodded, passed the image to her, and then said, Then I'll leave. Tell me something. The person who appeared in Nangong Ching's mind was indeed Meng Zhan, and she was very surprised. But there was no expression on the surface, he just nodded. Seeing Nangong Yu turn and leave, Nangong Ching felt very uncomfortable. If it weren't for Meng Zhan, she really wanted to call her sister back. Bai Chennai came over and asked, What, is it Meng Zhan? Nangong Ching nodded, and then asked what happened. Why did Meng Zhan kill Nangong Xian? Bai Chennai shook his head. Shaking his head without saying anything, he walked directly to the backyard. Nangong Ching saw it and followed him. The two of them went directly to Bai Yuexi and Meng Zhan's house. At this time, the two of them were fighting in the house, but when they sensed the arrival of their parents, they hurriedly packed up and went out to greet them. By Chennai I watched the two of them come out and said, "Come into the house and talk." After saying that, he entered the house and laid down the curtains. Obeying the ban, he looked at Meng Zhan and said, "Zhan'er, do you know Nangang Xian?" Meng Zhan immediately knew that the matter had been exposed after hearing this, and immediately said without hiding it, "Yes, this person was with Nangang Xian when he was in the Xinwu heaven realm. Let me snatch the rare treasure together and let me kill it." Bai Yuexi covered her mouth after hearing this. It turned out that Meng Zhan asked Nangang Xian for this reason. She also knew that the Nangang family has a magical power called Xian Guanghuanfa, which specializes in taking care of the Nangang family's heirs. If someone kills you, this method will be activated. Nangang Qing was sighing again and again at this time. She didn't expect that this newly arrived son-in-law would cause such a big trouble to her family. Although Bai Chennai has a cultivation level of 7,000 feet in the 10,000 god realm, but the ancestor of the Nangang family has a cultivation level of 9,000 feet, and several elders also have a cultivation level of 7,000 feet and 8,000 feet. Back then, after Bai Chennai made trouble with the Nangang family, he went to hide with his master, which gave the Nangang family no chance to take action. Now, his master has become an immortal. Although he will not take action against the Bai family, he will never give up secretly. Bai Chennai looked at Meng Zhan and said, "Now the Nangang family has begun to look for you in Wanja, and is about to kill you. I think you should stay in Baicheng mansion for a while, otherwise, if you leave Kanyu realm, I can't protect you." Meng Zhan had a headache after hearing Bai Chennai's words. He wanted to improve his strength quickly and didn't want to waste too much time here. Then he asked, "Father, have you heard about the news about the world of gods and demons?" When Bai Chennai heard this, he knew that Meng Zhan didn't want to stay with City Lord Bai at all, and then sighed and said, I wanted to tell you about this. Wei Kang sent me a message early this morning, saying that he had heard about the world of gods and demons. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After guarding the abyss for 1,000,000,000 years, when he returned, his family became a criminal clan. Author, Top 47. Chapter 167. I didn't expect that this world of gods and demons is thousands of realms away from here, and I don't know the quality of your Wanja pen, but I came directly to this Kanyu world, but I'm afraid it will be troublesome to go back. First, you must start from here, and then reach the world of all spirits, which is a large realm among many realms. Use it as a transit to go to the soul gathering realm, and then you can reach your world of gods and demons. But now that the Nangang family has been sent out to look for your way out, and they are very likely waiting for you to fall into the trap in various major realms, I think you should avoid the limelight first. After hearing this, Meng Zhan really didn't know what to do. At this time, Bai Yuexi said, "Father, can't you send Meng Zhan directly back to the world of gods and demons, Bai?" Chennai shook his head helplessly after hearing his daughter's words. Do you think the barriers are so easy to break? These connection points are all left over from ancient times, especially the boundary walls of the large realm, which are even harder. If it could be broken easily, those masters of the 10,000 god realm would have been walking back and forth. How could they be comfortable in one realm? This is also the way of heaven to protect those small realms from being destroyed. Meng Zhan has already begun to take stock. It seems that he really wants to stay here for a while, but he doesn't know how long it will take. Then he said, "Then that's all. I'll stay in Baicheng mansion first." Then he thought of something and asked, "Father, do you have extraterrestrial monsters here?" Bai Chennai was a little puzzled when he heard Meng Zhan's question. He didn't know why he suddenly asked about extraterrestrial monsters, and then said, "Of course there are. I'm afraid there are extraterrestrial monsters not only in our Kanyu realm, but also in all realms. These guys were obsessed with evil and always wanted to invade the human world. It was not until the human race's fairy court organized its forces to compete with the demon clan that the human race gained a moment of stability. After hearing about the human race's fairy court, Menjan asked, "Are there people from the fairy court in Canyu realm?" "No, Canyu realm is now guarded by our 5 city lords, and our strength is sufficient. Naturally, Xianting will not send anyone here." "Where are the extraterrestrial demons?" "The demons outside the territory are in an endless abyss." "Genre, why do you ask these questions?" Hearing this, Menjan was very happy. Since there are monsters from outside the territory, he can be anywhere. He then continued to ask, "Father, are there still monsters active in the endless abyss?" I couldn't understand Menjan more and more. He didn't understand why he was so excited when he heard about extraterrestrial monsters. If he hadn't known that he was a human emperor, he would have suspected that Menjan was a traitor to the human race. Then he said, "This place is already here." It was suppressed and banned. Although a few monsters would occasionally run out, there were people from our 5 major families guarding there, so we wouldn't worry. Menjan then said, "Father, I want to go to the endless abyss and kill the extraterrestrial monsters with those people." I looked at Menjan and hesitated for a while. He didn't know what he was thinking. When Menjan saw I's appearance, he had to explain, "To be honest with my father, the technique I practice is specifically for killing demons from outside the territory. The more demons I kill, the faster my cultivation level will increase." Hearing this, everyone in the room looked at him with a strange look. They had never heard of this kind of technique that specifically kills demons to improve their cultivation. However, they did know some evil cultivators. It sucks people's soul. After guarding the abyss for 1 billion years, when he returned, his family became a criminal clan. Author, Top 47. Chapter 168. Then I became worried, fearing what kind of evil method this Menjan was practicing, and said, "Genre, what kind of technique are you practicing? It's not that my father doesn't believe you, it's just that your technique sounds too weird. Listen." After hearing I's words, Menjan directly released the Wajihunyuan Sutra, and the room was filled with an aura of righteousness, mixed with the law of the Great Avenue. After seeing this, I felt reassured. It seemed that his son-in-law really had too many secrets, and he had already begun to get used to it. Even after agreeing to Menjan, Yuexi was naturally clamoring to go, so I had no choice but to agree. Immediately, I and his wife left the room. After coming out, Nangong Qing looked at I and said, "You are not such a casual person. Could it be that there is some secret about this Menjan?" I looked at Nangong Qing and said, "Of course it's for me. The Bai family has benefits, but the matter is too shocking and must be kept secret, so I can't tell you." Nangong Qing didn't care, and then said, "As long as you don't hurt you." Or after that, she returned to her room. I looked at it and shook his head. Since what happened to the Nangong family, the relationship between the two has been impossible to recover. The reason why there is no separation is entirely because Yuexi was in the middle of it. Menjan was very excited at this time, and then called Lu Yu and told him about this matter. Lu Yu frowned and said, "In 3 days? I didn't think about killing any demons now, but if you want to go, I will naturally accompany you." Menjan chuckled and said, "Of course you have to accompany me, otherwise you will still want to run away." Lu Yu shook his head and ignored him. He has been alone in the room for the past 2 days. He felt very comfortable. He finally healed his internal injuries, but Menjan was angry with him again. Yuexi couldn't help but feel happy when she saw the two of them, and said, "Ms. Sir, why do you always bully Lu Yu?" Menjan said with strange eyes after hearing Yuexi's words, "When did I bully him? This kid is very sinister. Stay away from him." When Lu Yu heard Menjan's words, he simply turned around and went back to the room, otherwise he was really afraid that he would spit out 2 ounces of blood. 3 days later, a group of people were waiting to set off. Bai Chennai was afraid of any trouble on their way, so he asked his Bai Shadow army to follow the 3 of them to protect them all the way. The Bai Shadow army was a die-hard loyalist of the Bai family, and everyone was a cultivator with a 1,000-foot body in the 10,000 god realm. Because, extremely afraid. But the number is also extremely rare. There are only 3,000 people. Each 1,000 people form a team, and each masters a formation. Using this formation, the power burst out can fight with people 3,000 feet in the 10,000 god realm. The Kanya realm can be considered a big realm. Although he had the token from Baicheng Mansion and was not blocked all the way, he still had to travel for 10 days to reach the endless abyss. The forces of the Bai family stationed next to the abyss have already received a notice from the head of the family, Bai Chennai, but they really don't understand what illness the eldest lady and uncle have suffered, and they have ended up in this desperate place. When everyone saw the 3 people arriving, they hurried over and bowed to Bai Yuexi and Meng Zhan. I have met the young lady and the uncle. Bai Yuexi nodded and said, everyone belongs to my Bai family. Hero, no need to be polite, I have asked you to guard the abyss, thank you for your hard work. After guarding the abyss for 1 billion years, when he returned, his family became a criminal clan. Author, Top 47. Chapter 169. At this time, a person came out and said, don't dare, this is a matter of duty, and it should be done. Miss and uncle have worked hard all the way, and we have prepared a banquet in Baiwan Palace. Bai Yuexi looked at this person. He was from here. The consul, named Bai Zheng, is the son of steward Bai Feng. His cultivation has now reached the 10,000 gods realm, but his realm is a bit unstable. It seems that he has just broken through. Then he smiled and said, Bai Zheng, you are not diligent in your cultivation. Bai Zheng smiled, bowed to Bai Yuexi and said, it's all thanks to the master and the miss, let's go, it's windy here, and not safe. Good. Everyone walked towards Baiwan Palace in a mighty manner. This is a palace specially set up to guard the abyss. Not only the Bai family, but the other 4 city lords also set up palaces here. But each of them they were all on guard for a while, and they often communicated with each other in private at the nearby palaces. However, at this time, Wei Hong and Feng Qingsu were already waiting in the lobby of the Bai family palace. They both received messages from their respective city lords at the same time. It was said that City Lord Bai's daughter and son-in-law had gone to the abyss, and they were asked to greet him, especially Bai Chennai's son-in-law. They must take good care of this person. After the 2 families met, they were puzzled for a while. After talking, they found out that they had been told everything by their respective city lords. It was the same thing, and they all immediately began to guess what kind of master the city lord Bai's son-in-law was. Suddenly he was so valued by the 3 major city owners in Kanya realm, and they had never heard of this person. Everyone from the Bai family arrived. In Baiwan Palace, the subordinates reported that Wei Hong and Feng Qingsu were visiting. They couldn't help but wonder that although a few people moved around, the 2 families never came together. Then they told Bai Yuexi and Meng Zhan that after hearing this, they knew what Wei Kang and Feng Yang meant, so they asked them to go directly to the banquet to wait. Then several people went straight to the banquet living room and saw Wei Hong and Feng Qingsu. They stepped forward to meet Meng Zhan and Feng Qingsu. Bai Yuexi, but the discoverer Meng Zhan was only a 9 tribulations lord, and he couldn't help but wonder, when would a person with a tribulation master level be able to enter the eyes of their city lord? Then he was invited into the banquet hall. Meng Zhan and Bai Yuexi sitting on the main seat, Lu Yu sat on the right side of Meng Zhan, and the rest of the people took their seats in turn. Meng Zhan glanced at everyone, and immediately said without hesitation, everyone, I came here to kill the extraterrestrial monsters. No, do you know what the current situation is like in this endless abyss? After everyone heard Meng Zhan's words, they couldn't help but feel a sense of contempt in their hearts. A tribulation master actually said that he wanted to kill the extraterrestrial demons. The lowest fear of these extraterrestrial demons was that they were in the tribulations realm, and now there is the highest one has reached 3,000 feet in the 10,000 god realm. Then Bai Zhang said, "Uncle, the endless abyss is stable now, and the ban has not been loosened. Although a few extraterrestrial demons will occasionally run out, we can handle it." Meng Zhan frowned. After listening to Bai Zhang's words, it seems that these people thought he was here to have fun. Just now, Bai Zhang meant that he didn't have to do anything, they were enough. How can this be done? He is just for I came to the god and demon realm just for my own cultivation. I have been away from the god and demon realm for a while, and my mission has not been completed yet. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After guarding the abyss for a billion years, when he returned, his family became a criminal clan. Author, Top 47. Chapter 170. Then he said, where can there be loopholes? How can there be more demons? After hearing this, several people looked at each other and frowned. Why is this Meng Zhan so ungrateful? Do you think that demon is it fun? Although you are a tribulations master, your cultivation level is not enough to feed the demon clan. Besides, several people have been told by their own city lords to take good care of them and never have anything happen to them. If something happens to them, the city lord will blame them, but they can't afford it. So Bai Zhang said again, we have been keeping a close watch and haven't found any loosening of the seal. I'm afraid there aren't as many demons as my uncle said. Meng Zhan sighed in his heart at this time and came over happily. As a result, if you tell me there are no demons, then you are just messing around. Now that the Nangong family has made it impossible for you to leave the Kanyu realm, you can't kill the demons. Thinking of this, Meng Zhan was a little worried. If this were the case, when would his cultivation reach the realm of the gods? Would he really have to shrink in this world of Kanyu for 100 years? Everyone saw Meng Zhan's face changing constantly, and Bai Yuexi was also worried at the side. After all, they knew the specialness of Meng Zhan's technique, but they could not unblock it. But at this time, Bai Zhang was suddenly stunned for a while, then lowered his head in thought, and then said again, "Uncle, if you really want to find such a place, there is no such place." Meng Zhan's eyes suddenly lit up, and he hurriedly asked, "Where is it?" Bai Zhang said, "Although the endless abyss is banned, you can enter and exit freely with the token. However, usually, we will not enter the abyss, and the token consists of 5 parts, shared by our 5 major families. Take charge. This is also for fear that someone will secretly open the ban and release the demons from outside the territory." Hearing this, Meng Zhan looked at the other 2 people. Wei Hong and Feng Qingsu saw Meng Zhan looking at them. After listening to Bai Zhang's words, I couldn't help but wonder, what on earth were their master and servant playing at? At this time, both of them were informed by the secret method of their respective city lords at the same time. If Meng Zhan needs the token, give it to him directly without shirk. The 2 of them were shocked at the same time. They didn't understand what the release was, and why their city lord valued this person so much. It seemed that this matter was not simple. Then their attitude towards Meng Zhan changed. At the same time, they also thought that they must protect Meng Zhan. With the attitude of his own city lord, if something happens to Meng Zhan, he will definitely not end well. Thinking of this, Wei Hong said, "If Mr. Meng needs it, I, Wei Hong, can take out the token and borrow it, Mr. Meng." After hearing Wei Hong's words, Feng Qingsu also said, "I, Feng Qingsu, can also borrow the token from Mr. Meng." At this time, Bai was looking at the 2 of them blankly. He had just obtained after receiving the secret message from Master Bai Chennai, "No matter what my uncle's request is, he must find a way to satisfy it, especially when it comes to killing demons from outside the territory. Of course, the ban cannot be broken, otherwise, the entire Kanyu realm will be in big trouble, and by Chennai I will become a sinner of the Kanyu realm. But why did these two people suddenly become so bold? Could it be that their city lord said it too? Thinking of this, Bai Zheng's heart beat wildly. What is the origin of his uncle, and he actually got the consent of the three major city lords at the same time. Meng Zhan did not expect that several people would suddenly be so happy. He also knew that this ban was not activated casually. Wei Kang and Fen Yang must have given the order behind their backs. After guarding the abyss for a billion years, when he returned, his family became a criminal clan. Author, Top 47. Chapter 171. In this way, there are already 3 tokens, and there are still 2 more. Thinking of this, he asked, is there a way to borrow tokens from these other 2 families? After hearing Meng Zhan's words, Feng Qingsu said the Yi family has always been in contact with my Feng family, and our personal relationship is also very good. It should not be difficult, but it is hard to say about the Mo family. Meng Zhan asked in confusion, why is this? The Mo family wants to be alone. Although City Lord Mo is also at the 10,000 gods realm, he currently has no heirs, and there are very few people under his command. They are rarely seen in normal times, and even several city owners are rarely seen. A member of the Mo family. Meng Zhan sighed and said, no matter what, I have to ask. Bai Zheng said, don't worry, uncle. I will go to Yi and Mo's house tomorrow to borrow tokens. After hearing this, Wei Hong said, why don't brother Su and I accompany you? This way the success rate will be higher. Then it's hard work for brother Hong and brother Su. Haha, you're welcome. Meng Zhan felt somewhat at peace at this time. In this case, he could only wait for the news. Then he said a few polite words and everyone started to drink. After a meal, they didn't disperse until night. Bai Zheng took Meng Zhan and his wife they were taken to the main room to rest, and Lu Yu was taken to the guest room, which was not far from Meng Zhan and the others. At night, Bai Yuexi looked at Meng Zhan and said, "Ms, is it really safe for you to do this? I'm always afraid that something will happen to you." Hearing Bai Yuexi's words, his heart moved, and then said, "Don't worry I'm already familiar with this kind of thing. Back then, I was suppressing the demons in the abyss of the world of gods and demons, so it was okay." After hearing Meng Zhan's words, Bai Yuexi nodded and continued, "Then, mister, what level of cultivation do you plan to improve here?" Meng Zhan lowered his head, thought for a moment and said, "Let's see, I want to be promoted to the 10,000 god realm 5,000 feet, but I don't know if I can achieve my wish." After hearing this, Bai Yuexi thought in her mind, 10,000 gods realm is 5,000 feet? My husband once said that he could reach the 10,000 gods realm 10,000 jongs in 1,000 years, but it would take 500 years to reach 5,000 jongs. Thinking about this, he felt in his heart he was also happy. After all, if Meng Zhan left, he would definitely follow him. Since he was a child, he had never left his father except for the Nangong family. The next day, Bai Zheng and others said goodbye to Meng Zhan and his wife and went to they asked for tokens. After all, it would be useless for Meng Zhan and Meng Zhan to follow them. They didn't know anyone from the Yi and Mo families at all. Even Bai Yuexi rarely met people from the two families, only occasionally. I would go to their city to play and be entertained. Meng Zhan had nothing to do at this time, so he said he wanted to go to the abyss to have a look. Bai Yuexi naturally nodded and agreed, and took Meng Zhan and Lu Yu to the abyss. Waiting until they arrived nearby, I saw green light flashing from the endless abyss. When I got to the edge, I felt the underground demons constantly surging. Although I couldn't see it, I could feel their breath very clearly. Especially at this time, I felt that the demons underneath were constantly thinking about it. He wanted to break through the prohibition, he wanted to rush out and tear everyone apart. At this moment, Meng Zhan felt that it was not because the evil spirit of the demons on his body was too strong that the demons below him were aware of his existence.